Hi guys, Mark DeVoe. Welcome back to this channel, Conscious Time, and welcome to this video on how the world is treating you is how you see yourself. Okay, so basically it's what you are creating. The world is reflecting that. Before we go further, we discuss all things navigating this world through the eyes of awareness, a bird's eye view, non-judgmentalism or being non-judgmental, and dropping guilt, and bridging pragmatism with spirituality. So hopefully you walk off with some tangible, real-world, pragmatic steps that you can take into the world and apply to it. And hopefully this adds massive value. Like, share, subscribe if you find it adds value. Anyway, let's jump in. My videos or my inspiration always starts off very simply in my mind, and then it actually gets a little bit more in depth. So that's why I look at my computer. Time-wise, it just helps me stay on track as well. So yeah, how the world is treating you is how you see yourself. And this is as I started doing a little bit more research to kind of corroborate it and back it up a little bit, Carl Jung actually jumped into my space, and it's based on one of his quotes, which is, "The world will ask you who you are, and if you do not know, the world will tell you." So just bear that in mind. I'll put that quote in the description as well. But you can, Google a lot of Carl Jung's quotes. And I'll make mention of another one later on in the video. But so this was inspired by my own experiences in life, and again that links back to what I always say in my videos. Don't take my word for it. Go out there and experience it. I can say tangibly, without a shadow of a doubt, that what I experience is utter truth, and you can't take that away. So if you go out there and experience it, you have undeniable proof. So you are the key cornerstone. Anyway, let me not go off track too far there. So again, it was inspired by circumstances in my life. I've mentioned this before in some of my videos. Sometimes when I have a busy week, at the end of the week, my brain is still going because there's so much activity. It's emails, it's calls, etc., etc. And then you find how the world is now interacting with you. It could be your family, it could be emails, it could be conversations on a call, maybe it's with clients, etc., etc. You start finding a resistance there, and it's only through the eyes of awareness can you actually start seeing that you've actually created this, and now it's mirroring back. It's the law of resonance, vibration, the law of magnetism. So what you are is what you attract. What you are giving out is what you are receiving. So that's the creative power. You are not subject to the world. Well, most of us are. If you are not aware and you are unconscious, you are subject to the world. And I've spoken about this in some of my videos, as opposed to using that God-given creative power to take that back, to realize you are the creative force. So again, going back to how the world is treating you is how you see yourself. So you can tell how you see yourself, how you feel about yourself, by what the world is now giving back to you. This takes a level of awareness, and I can undeniably say I've experienced and I experiment with this on a day-to-day basis now. I do it in my family. You can use a negative or positive examples. You try it out for yourself in maybe a work environment. Don't intentionally do it, but you can compare, how you started work, how you've interacted with your family, whatever the case may be. If it's negative, how does that play out as opposed to positive? I've done that with waking up on a Sunday morning and I've been in a great mood. I've done my meditation, I'm aligned, and that is filtered through to my family. And it sounds so cliche, but when you become most of us are not aware of this, and we're not practicing this, we're not doing this on a day-to-day basis to now create the lives. Most of us are unconscious, running around chasing our tails and subject to the world. So I've mentioned this before in some of my other videos. I did this in the workspace where I created a very negative, toxic environment from a previous position or job. I took that into my next position, and I was wondering why I was getting greeted with toxic emails, toxic way of interacting. And I realized I actually brought a lot of that And now that was reciprocating. Until I adjusted that, I saw my previous boss in a better light. I adjusted my thought. I used Neville Goddard's techniques, seeing the person in the right light, and that was what is the word? It was so tangible how it switched that whole situation. So I implore you to go out and experience these things, try these things, become aware of these things, know you are the creative power. So hopefully I'm staying on target here. And now this is backed up by some of, maybe corroborated or just some nice quotes. Proverbs 27:19, as water reflects the face, so one's life reflects the heart. I'll read it again. As water reflects the face, so one's life reflects the heart. And then Matthew 5:8, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. That's quite an interesting one, because a lot of the time we are always thinking of the future, and we're not actually thinking that quote is actually also in the present. You know, a lot of these quotes have different nuances and different levels of awareness. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. So you shall see God through vision, the third eye, not necessarily through your eyesight, because that's just an organ that is part of a very small bandwidth of experience. But that just shows the outside world is reflecting what is in. So blessed are the pure in heart. So you're pure in heart, your heart is within, and what you have within is going to be reflected, or it's going to reflect out. So if you're pure in heart, you will now see God. So I hope that makes a little bit of sense. Okay, and then another one from Carl Jung is, which I find also quite profound, who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes. So that is Carl Jung. And that makes sense again, because, you know, who looks outside dreams, the outside world is essentially an illusion. The truth is within, and the outside world will now reflect that. And I believe that's what Carl Jung is saying here. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes. So once you know you are the creative power, the God-given power, and you look within, then you know the creative power is within. When you get the inside right, that will now reflect, the world will now reflect that. So sit with that, ponder that, meditate on that, get the inside right, and you will now, the world will now reflect that, and you will know how you feel, and the world will treat you how you see yourself from within. So you are getting treated all the time with how you perceive yourself and see yourself and how you feel about yourself. So that can go both positive or negatively. If someone is treating you, there are a lot of people that are getting treated absolutely terribly, and you say, do they actually deserve that? So the power resides in that person. It's up to that person to awaken, to dissolve that ultimately. It's not nice to treat someone else like that, but no one actually effectively has power over another person. It might seem it, but they ultimately don't. So that person, I won't go too in depth now, but the ego is a very powerful force, and I've talked about this in some of my other videos. The ego is the separation from God. It's the me, myself, I. It doesn't matter if the ego is bolstered or through pride and gain and bolstering itself better than others, or the ego is bolstering itself through woe is me and the negative attribute. It doesn't matter that if the ego is empowered, it can get empowered both ways. Ultimately, the ego is separation. You don't need to understand too much about the ego. I'm going to do more videos on the ego, but the point is, if that person is getting treated badly, essentially the ego is craving that negative behavior from that other person, if that makes sense. So yes, the power actually resides in that person. The person is seeing himself as a victim, and the world is reflecting that through people treating them badly, or the world treating them in a certain way. So again, I hope that does make sense. I don't want to talk too long there. I want to make sure that I've just ticked a lot of boxes off there. So what are some pragmatic takeaways here? So I've mentioned this before. You are the creative power. You've got to know that you are part of God. You lack for nothing. If you are part of God, you have all the power in the world of God, but it's based on your level of awareness. The world is now reflecting to you how you see yourself. It's up to you how you are going to use that to now shift to the creative power. Are you going to be subject to the world? Are you going to wait for someone to treat you better, to give you a pay rise, to whatever the case may be? Or are you going to be, and it takes quite a shift in awareness, discipline to now take that creative power back, because you're not subject to the world now. You are sitting first with how you want to live this world. And once you have changed that, the world will reflect that. The delay might come at different times, but it takes discipline to now take that creative power back. Let's say you want, for lack of a better example, peace. Are you going to wait for the world to reflect peace, to give you peace, for a spouse, a loved one, a friend, a colleague to show you peace first? Or are you going to create the peace first to dissolve any negativity around there, or share the peace first? So that's why it comes down to discipline, meditating on these things, knowing you are the creative power, awakening to these facts of awareness. Again, I've mentioned Neville Goddard. You are perfectly expressing yourself either consciously or unconsciously. That is the power. So you either are aware of that or you're not aware of that. So the pragmatic takeaway is go out there, meditate on these things, take back your creative power, be patient with these things, because the world will reflect that which you want once you have created and owned that space through the law of resonance, the law of magnetism. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense. So if you do like this, you find it adds value, like, share, subscribe, give me your thoughts, your experiences, go out there, experience, and you will see for yourself. So yeah, I hope it goes well. All the best. Check out the next one.